I always thought the shaking in my hands was getting worse because my condition was progressing. Every morning, I watched my mother count out my pills from the bottles she kept locked in her special medical cabinet. To keep them safe, she'd say. Being 23 and still living at home because of my chronic condition wasn't my life plan, but with increasingly severe symptoms, I had no choice. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Mom handed me my daily dose with a glass of water, watching intently as I swallowed each pill. "Sarah, honey, you're looking a bit pale again," she said, her hand cool against my forehead. "Maybe we should cancel your job interview." "Mom, I need this job. Working from home as a graphic designer is perfect for my condition." I pulled away from her touch, tired of being treated like fragile glass. "But sweetheart, remember last time? You had such a bad episode after pushing yourself." Her voice carried that familiar mixture of concern and authority that had governed my life for years. My older sister Kate walked in, already dressed for her hospital shift. "Mom's right, Sarah. You can barely hold a spoon steady these days. Maybe it's time to apply for full disability." I looked down at my trembling hands, the same hands that had earned me an art scholarship before everything went downhill. The medication was supposed to control my essential tremors, but lately it seemed to be failing. Every increase in dosage only made me feel worse. The job interview was conducted online, and halfway through, the room started spinning. My words slurred and cold sweat beaded on my forehead. The interviewer's concerned face blurred on the screen as I apologized and ended the call. "Mom," I called out, my voice weak. She was beside me instantly, as if she'd been waiting just outside the door. "Something's wrong." "You're just anxious, dear. Let's get you to bed." But this was different. My heart was racing, and the tremors were worse than ever. Through my mental fog, I remembered my neurologist's warning about missing doses. This felt exactly like what he described. "I need to go to the hospital," I managed to say. "Don't be dramatic, Sarah. Kate, tell your sister she's overreacting again." Kate appeared in my doorway, still in her scrubs. "Sarah, this attention-seeking has to stop. You're making Mom upset." The room tilted sharply, and I fumbled for my phone. Mom reached for it, but I clutched it to my chest. "If you call an ambulance, they'll think you're crazy," she warned. "Do you want to end up in a psych ward?" My fingers shook violently as I tried to dial 911. Mom and Kate exchanged that look, the one they perfected over years of dealing with what they called my episodes. But before either could stop me, I hit dial. The next few hours were a blur of sirens, urgent voices, and bright lights. In the ER, a nurse named Linda took my vitals, her eyes sharp and observant. "How long have you been taking your medication?" she asked, reviewing my chart. 2 years since the diagnosis, but it's not working anymore." Linda frowned, comparing something on her computer screen. "Your blood levels are showing almost no trace of your prescribed medication. That's impossible if you've been taking them regularly." "But I have. Mom gives them to me every morning. She watches me take them." Linda's expression shifted, and she glanced at the police officer stationed in the ER. "Where are your medication bottles?" "In Mom's special cabinet. She keeps them locked up too." My voice trailed off as a terrible possibility began to dawn. The officer stepped forward and Linda placed a gentle hand on my arm. "Sarah, we need to ask you some difficult questions about your mother's involvement in your medical care." In that moment, as the tremors racked my body and the truth began to emerge, I realized that the real sickness in my life hadn't been my condition at all. It had been brewing in my own home, dispensed daily by the very hands I trusted most. The hospital room became my sanctuary over the next 3 days. Under proper medication, my tremors decreased significantly for the first time in months. Detective Morris sat beside my bed, her notebook open as Linda, my ER nurse, stood by the door preventing anyone from entering. "We found these in your mother's sewing box," Detective Morris said, placing an evidence bag on my lap. Inside were hundreds of tiny white pills and empty capsules. "The lab confirmed these are your prescribed medications. Can you explain why they might be there?" My hands started trembling again, but not from my condition. She must have been emptying the capsules before giving them to me. The words felt like glass in my throat. "Sarah." My mother's voice carried from a hallway. "These people are trying to turn you against me. I'm your mother." Linda closed the door firmly, muffling Mom's protests. Detective Morris showed me another photo. My mother's special medical cabinet had been full of carefully labeled bottles, but most contained nothing but sugar pills. Your blood work from the past 2 days shows dramatic improvement with proper medication, Linda explained, showing me my chart. Your previous hospital visits over the last 2 years showed dangerous fluctuations consistent with irregular medication administration. My phone buzzed continuously with messages from Kate. How could you do this to Mom? She only wanted to take care of you. You're tearing this family apart. Detective Morris noticed my distress. We've seen this before. It's called medical abuse by proxy, similar to Munchausen by proxy. Your mother kept you sick to maintain control. Memories flooded back. Mom's insistence on handling all my medications, her presence at every doctor's appointment, how she always spoke before I could describe my symptoms, the way she'd rush to help whenever I had an episode, usually after she'd given me my medicine. There's something else, Linda added gently. We found diary entries in your mother's notebook. She's been receiving your disability checks. My art supplies gathered dust in the corner of my room at home, dreams of graphic design fading with each trembling day. Mom had convinced me I was too sick to work, too fragile to live independently. Every time I'd shown improvement, every job interview I'd attempted. The shaking, it was withdrawal? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Yes, Linda confirmed. She'd give you doses sporadically, just enough to keep you dependent, but not enough to actually treat your condition. The detective handed me another evidence bag. Inside was my mother's diary, open to a damning entry. Sarah tried to apply for another job today. Had to increase her episodes. She doesn't understand that she needs me. Kate agrees it's for the best. My sweet, sick little girl must stay where I can protect her. Kate's involvement hit me like a physical blow. My own sister, a nurse, had known or at least suspected. Her constant reinforcement of Mom's concerns. Her dismissal of my improving symptoms. We'll need your statement, Detective Morris said. But first, your neurologist wants to discuss adjusting your treatment plan. With proper medication, he believes you can live independently and pursue your career. A text from my Aunt Lisa appeared. I'm here when you're ready. The guest room is yours. She'd always seemed skeptical of Mom's intensely controlling care, but had been pushed away from the family for questioning it. Linda smiled encouragingly. You're not alone, Sarah. We have support services, counselors who specialize in cases like yours. And your test results prove everything. I looked at my hands, steady enough to hold a pencil, to use a computer mouse, to draw again. Steady enough to sign a police statement. Steady enough to take back my life. I'll make a statement, I said, my voice stronger than it had been in years. But first, I need to make a phone call. I dialed the graphic design firm from the failed interview. With my medical records proving what had really happened, they agreed to give me another chance. This time, no one would interrupt my opportunity. Outside my room, I could still hear Mom's accusations and Kate's angry demands, but they seemed distant now, like a storm moving away. In its place was something unfamiliar but welcome, possibility. Linda squeezed my shoulder. Ready to tell your story? I picked up a pen, testing its weight in my steady hand. Yes, I answered. I've been quiet long enough. 6 months after my hospital stay, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror in my new apartment, steadily applying mascara. Something that would have been impossible before. My phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Lisa downstairs. Court in 1 hour. You've got this. Mom and Kate's trial was today. The prosecutor had built a solid case. Tampered medications, forged disability documents, and years of medical abuse. Kate faced separate charges for medical negligence and conspiracy, her nursing license already suspended. I smoothed my blazer, checking my portfolio one last time. After court, I had a client meeting for my growing graphic design business. 3 successful months of working from my home office had proven that I was far from disabled. The courthouse hallway felt colder than I remembered. Aunt Lisa squeezed my hand as we passed Mom and Kate sitting with their lawyers. Mom reached for me, her face crumpling in that familiar manipulative way. Sarah, please. Everything I did was out of love. I walked past without acknowledging her. My therapist called it gray rocking, showing no emotion, giving them nothing to manipulate. The evidence was overwhelming. Hospital records showed my dramatic improvement once proper medication was administered. The prosecution displayed photos of Mom's medical cabinet, Rows of bottles filled with sugar pills and empty capsules. Her diary entries revealed years of calculated abuse. When it was my turn to testify, I faced my family directly. Mom's eyes brimmed with tears, and Kate stared at the floor. The defendant didn't just steal my medication, I stated clearly. She stole years of my life. While my condition is manageable with proper treatment, she convinced me I was deteriorating. Every dream I had was dismissed as unrealistic. Every improvement was sabotaged. I held up my steady hands. These hands can draw again. They can type, cook, and care for myself. The only thing making me sick was my mother's care. The defense tried arguing that Mom had mental health issues herself, that she genuinely believed she was helping me, but her diary proved otherwise. She calculated exactly how to keep me dependent while collecting my disability payments. Kate's testimony was a desperate attempt to minimize her role. I thought Mom knew best. I'm a nurse, but she's our mother. The judge's verdict was clear. Mom received 8 years for medical abuse, fraud, and financial exploitation. Kate got 3 years probation, community service, and a permanently revoked nursing license. As they led Mom away, she called out, "Who's going to take care of you?" I smiled, finally free from her question. "I will." Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered, but Aunt Lisa helped me navigate through them to her car. We drove to my client meeting in comfortable silence. "You know," she said finally, "your mom tried this controlling behavior with me when we were young." I cut contact. Sometimes I wonder if I should have fought harder, reported her. "Maybe then." "You couldn't have known," I assured her. "But you believed me when it mattered." The client meeting went perfectly. My portfolio impressed them, and my steady hands demonstrated detailed digital artwork with precision. They commissioned a full branding package, my biggest project yet. That evening, I hosted a small dinner party in my apartment. Linda, the ER nurse who first discovered the abuse, came with her husband. Detective Morris brought wine. Aunt Lisa made her famous lasagna. My new friends from the survivor support group filled my home with genuine laughter. My phone buzzed with a text from Kate's husband. "The kids miss their aunt. When you're ready, we'd love to rebuild." I marked it read, but didn't respond. My therapist said healing happens on my timeline, not anyone else's. After my guests left, I stood on my small balcony, breathing in the night air. My easel waited inside, a half-finished commission taking shape on the canvas. My medication schedule was posted on the fridge, managed by me alone. My hands, steady and strong, gripped the railing. The city lights blurred as tears finally came, not of sadness or anger, but relief. 2 years of fog had lifted. My condition wasn't gone, but it was managed. My career was growing. My home was my own. My phone buzzed again. Another client referral. I smiled, wiping my eyes. Tomorrow I would wake up, take my correctly dosed medication, and continue building my new life. My mother's special cabinet was gone, but my art supply cabinet was full. My sister's judgment was silent, but my client's praise was loud. I was no longer the family's sick little girl. I was just Sarah, artist, survivor, and finally, wonderfully free.